They are rage. Brutal, without mercy. But you will be worse. Rip and tear until it is done.
How about that? Anyways, I want you to listen very carefully to what I'm about to say, you ungrateful pieces of shit.
Hey, what up? Your favorite YouTuber you just don't know about yet, Dusky's here. Grandfather Doom's next installment is just around that proverbial corner. And I don't know quite what to make of it just yet. Doom, the first-person shooter, is upon us once again. I'm excited, and I'm looking forward to it. Yet, I have certain considerations on my mind. It's surprising to me we're getting this at all. Dark Ages was only announced back in 2024, Xbox Showcase of all things. That's less than a year's notice, and with how Eternal was handled at its end, to me, it looked like id and ZeniMax were actually done with the series, for the time being at least. That probably sounds like an odd statement to make, but there are some parallels between Doom and its sister franchise, Wolfenstein, over at Machine Head. Doom itself has gone through a few iterations and even tonal shifts over the years. For a time, it looked like the series was to be damned, consigned to be shackled to the modern military shooter genre. Yet someone somewhere was graced by the light of reason and realized this would have been a poor decision. Because of this, 2016 reboot Doom was quite the success. ZeniMax did well to let it do its own thing. This wasn't to be as so with Eternal. The parent's company, regrettably maligned influence, did make it more into the finished product this time, considering all which Eternal was. Surface-wise, the sequel was a done deal. Heralded a massive success, reviewed magnificently, made hundreds of millions of dollars. Still, I doubt it did nowhere near as well as Zenny was wanting. Corpos tend to look at how well something could have done, concluding that $450 million profit was actually $1 billion profit lost. For enough is truly never enough. Even if they had no real chance of ever making that. Yet something else had been going on, even before Eternal's release, be it either at id or ZeniMax. Remember Invasion Mode? Its non-materialization was espoused to be related due to a certain early 2020s crisis, though I suspect it was axed due to not reaching that critical mass of players. Would have served as a very nice vehicle for Slayer customizations, demon skins, and whatnot, wouldn't it have? And with what we got with the Ancient Gods DLCs, which are the most baffling note Eternal was ended on, my main guess for all of this is that ZeniMax was experimenting with forms of continuous touch of base with its consumers, or whatever Howard called it. Considering the collectible-heavy infrastructure of Eternal's persistent player engagement model, this continuous influx of content would have been a match made in heaven. Or hell in this case. Yeah, I'd probably say hell. Yet, in a bizarre move of playing the reverse Uno card against themselves, what ended up happening was a paltry 2 offerings rushed out like a Mario speedrun that scrimmaged out together a 2-hour wrap-up epilogue of what had up until this point been a carefully constructed and paced narrative.
They promised me so much.
A surprising, very much welcomed addition to the reboot series. It had no shortage of fans either. They wanted to be done with Doom. I don't know why, but they did. And now here we are again, with comparatively little forewarning for a AAA release. I myself haven't looked at any of the pre-release Let's Plays or the like, only the official marketing trailers. I am one of those who doesn't want to spoil what I'm getting. Not really a smart thing to do, I realize, especially in the modern gaming world, but, you know, whatever. It must be said, if nothing else, Zinni had to at least been mindful not to interfere with the actual gameplay aspects of Doom, and it appears to have been more open with experimentation this time around. Melee combat was something I had been looking forward to back in Eternal, with that cool sword. Considering all the other aspects it applied from the likes of Brutal Doom and Project Brutality, it seemed to be a natural inclusion. The Crucible, for its part, ended up being a reskinned Chainsaw Glory kill from the first game. They dropped it as soon as the first DLC, too. Here, it does appear to be actually fleshed out this time around. This chap, he feels like a Marvel villain. This isn't intended to be a knock. The problem is, it's just not a Doom thing. It may possibly work. Conmaker was decent, as definitely was Olivia. Though, these weren't the demons, whom before were carried by their actions, their presentation. Even with the more is less ethos of the first reboot, they managed to work in quite a bit of nuance and character to the demons. Their brutality and uncaring, backstabbing nature. Now that they're being given a voice, like a real attributed voice, it robs them of what made them so unique and memorable in the first place. But the biggest concern would certainly have to be ZeniMax's desire for that constant cash flow. Eternal certainly placed a heavy emphasis on that continual engagement practice. Now, how will this work for Dark Ages? I imagine it's going to be double effort this time around. They did tend to shove things in the player's face previously, to whet the appetite. Beating a level, winning a deathmatch, even just opening the game would shower one with many large, glowing bars of enjoyment. Look at how much stuff you earned, man, it's all yours. Now break out mommy's credit card and get more. I do fear this is going to be far worse this time around. And most of all, I fear this is what's going to make or break the series. On how successful, how lucrative this proves. Not just game sales, I mean, these microtransactions. Do games really need all this stuff? Is Doom better off with 4 or 5 palette-swapped Quake Ranger skins? A $60 remaster just dropped out of nowhere last month, and it didn't need any of this stuff. Well, okay, it doesn't have as much stuff as the norm nowadays, but is it really so impossible to be successful without this? Are any of you out there who don't pick up a game if it doesn't have a collectible economy such as this? I see enough of the game I enjoyed in here. It's just a matter of how much do I actually have to dig through to get to it, to purposely ignore that dangling swaggery each time I load up a level. Definitely worst of all, though, is if I do choose to ignore that, and enough other people choose to ignore it, may we very well be signing the death warrant for the entire Doom series.
And what have you given us in return besides billions of dollars? Nothing. That's what... So, here's what's going to happen. We're going to release our new space game that literally nobody asked for, and you're going to buy it, because if you don't, the company's going to go bankrupt. And if the company goes bankrupt, you'll never see another Elder Scrolls or Fallout game for the rest of your pathetic weeb life.